Things the hospital did not tell me that I wish they would have told me during my labor and birth process. Some of you guys may know that I had a fairly traumatic birth experience. You never really know how it's gonna go for sure, and there are definitely things I could have done better to prepare. If you're a labor and delivery nurse, doctor, whatever, and you can maybe tell me why you don't say some of these things, I would love to know. And yes, I know a lot of people are gonna say get a doula next time, and I believe I am gonna get a doula next time. I wish the doctors and hospitals told me which direction my baby was facing. They hadn't checked since the last ultrasound. I think I was at 35 or 36 weeks, and going into a hospital, they did not know where my baby was facing, and she was posterior. And so that is one of the reasons I had to push for 5 hours. I remember being in there and being like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like I'm making any progress. And I was like, well, do you guys know which way the baby's facing? And they're kind of like, well, there's no way to really know for sure. And like, maybe that is true, but I'm like, is there any way to do an ultrasound before? When I was pushing, the nurse was like, you're doing great, you're doing great. I wasn't doing great. I wasn't making progress. And it wasn't until the doctor came in when he was like, oh, she's posterior, like she's the wrong direction. So then he went in and flipped her like I also wish that the hospital would have told me way more about nursing and breastfeeding. I should have come in asking more questions, but because my baby latched really quickly, it's like, we're like, oh wow, that's so awesome. Like, you're gonna do great. And I'm like, okay. Do you have questions? And I was like, they kind of just gave me a packet. I think they kind of said, think about talking to a lactation consultant. I wish they would have told me all the breastfeeding was gonna go, and I know it's gonna be different for everyone, but I wish that they could have just provided me those things. Does that make sense? Someone did tell me that a lot of people at the hospital now don't talk about breastfeeding because people do get offended if they aren't planning to breastfeed. I understand that that's maybe not the hospital's job, but also we are paying an absurd amount of money to have a child. I also wish that the hospital would have told me kind of more about the medications that they were giving me, what they do, how they could potentially affect the baby. Maybe some hospitals do this, especially because I was a first-time mom. Second time around, obviously you're gonna know more, but there should just be more information for first-time moms, if that makes sense. Also wish they would have told me like different formulas for babies. It's so hard because there are some formulas that just don't work super well for babies, or maybe don't have the best ingredients. And obviously fed is best. I had to combo feed, supplement with my baby. I feel like my hospital talked a lot about getting like a medical grade pump. They didn't really tell me that I needed to get it size, and that like pumps were gonna fit different for everyone, and so you need to get your flange size. That was something that I found out from TikTok later on, and my poor nipples were just cracked and bleeding, and I was miserable, and I couldn't nurse on one side. It would have been nice to just kind of know that information beforehand. And also part of it was my fault for not doing as much research as I probably should have. If I had to do it all over again, I would, but I just wish I could have gotten a little bit more assistance from the hospital.